Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The instrumental that you are currently listening to is called Red and Gold, and it is from the debut album of the local group The Lofty Pines, Light at the Door, which you can stream wherever you get your music. You can also check out their website at theloftypines.com or their Facebook and Instagram to learn more about the group. And finally, they'll be coming to the Very Nice Brewing Company in Gilpin, located at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk on Saturday, September 7th, starting at 5 p.m. So be sure to check them out live if you want to hear more music like this. Happy September, everybody! My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to this week's Miscellaneous Monday edition of the Mountaineer Podcast, where I give you coverage from across the Peak to Peak area. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I am very excited about this particular episode of the podcast. We're promoting a very cool show that's coming up in the near future. In fact, we're basically just going to jump right into the interview. I'm going to mention the film that is playing this weekend at the Backdoor Theater at the end of this episode, because the event that I'm promoting in this week's Miscellaneous Monday episode is also taking place at the Backdoor Theater, so I might as well promote everything at once. So, let's bring on our two guests this week. Do you two mind introducing yourselves real quick?
Sure. My name's Scott Pepper. I'm originally from the UK, now live here in Longmont, Colorado, and I'm a magician.
And I am Kirk Marsh. I have a traveling bug and have no home at the moment, so I am out touring around, and I am a physical comedian.
And as I just mentioned, you two are coming to the Backdoor Theater very soon, but you're actually touring across various different venues in the state of Colorado.
We sure are. Yeah, we've got stops at 5 other venues as well.
Can you tell us more about what the show, which is headlined A Night of Magic and Comedy, will look like when it comes to the Backdoor Theater very soon?
Yeah, it is a family-friendly magic and comedy show. You're going to see some amazing magic, some hilarious physical comedy, some juggling. There's going to be something for everyone, really. Yeah.
So it seems like you two have an extensive history of performing. Have you ever performed together?
We have not worked together as a duo. We've been friends for a long time, but most of our contracts have been in different places at different times. So whenever we were able to spend time together, we enjoyed that and always thought it would be fun to perform together. We also just know that it's more fun to perform with another performer, and we've been solo artists doing our own work for a long time, and so thought it would be just nice to hang out with a friend and do some stuff on stage.
So how did you two get started in performing in the first place? What's your performance path been like?
I started magic when I was about 10 years old, and I got a magic set for my birthday, and then I did my first professional gig, I guess, at 13. I did a children's birthday party, and then I got into entertainment professionally at 17, and I've been doing magic ever since. And then since then, in my 20s, I got working on cruise ships, and I worked on them for about 15 years. I was with Disney Cruise Line for about 7.5 years, been with Royal Caribbean, Holland America, Princess Cruises, a bunch of different ones. And yeah, and then for the last 6 years, I've been running my own magic theater in Texas, and that was just before I moved here to Colorado.
Yeah, and then myself, I went to Ringling Bros and Barnum Bailey Clown College in 1997, and then went on tour with them in 2001, and since then have been touring all over the world. I worked at Disney down in Disney World and worked at a bunch of different places down in the Orlando area, and started doing some cruise ships probably about 15 years ago, and have been all over the world doing that. Been to 53 countries or so, performing with cruise ships and other tours, and have done a bunch of circus festivals all over the world, in Hungary, in China, in Spain. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of really wonderful experiences on stage as well. TV, cruise ships, casinos, and many other theater venues.
And most recently in Vegas?
Oh yeah, and most recently in Vegas on the America's Got Talent show. I almost forget to self-promote. Yeah, where I was on the stages of America's Got Talent and Cirque du Soleil. And yeah, and Scott has also played the world-famous Magic Castle out in Los Angeles. We'll self-promote for each other.
Yeah.
Was there a moment in particular early on that first motivated you to pursue a career in performing?
For me, I was a Cub Scout and I needed my entertainment badge, so I tried a bunch of things that I was terrible at, and finally picked up this magic set and did it, and I was terrible at that as well, but by then they felt obligated to give me my badge, so they did. And then a few weeks later, I was on holiday with my family and there was a talent competition, and I was like, hey, why don't I do some magic in that? And that was really the first time I ever did it.
We'll do tricks for class.
Yes, exactly.
And myself, I went to Ringling Bros and Barnum Bailey Circus when I was about 10 or 12 and just fell in love with the clowns. I thought they were the funniest thing in the world. And then when I was about halfway through college, I figured out that I didn't necessarily want to do the things I thought I wanted in college, and went to Ringling Bros and Barnum Bailey's Clown College at that point. So it was a big shift for me to go from what I thought I was going to do to entertainment. I went back and got my degree and was fortunate enough to have some performances that allowed me to pay my way through college that way.
What has stuck out to you about being able to entertain an audience over your vast career of performing? And are there any particular shows that stick out in your memory?
For me, definitely performing on Disney Cruise Line was one of my favorites, just being part of a family crowd the whole time. It's very rare to be able to bring families together like that into a theater, and I guess that's what we're trying to do with this, is bring everyone out so the adults can have a great time, the kids can have a great time. But my all-time favorite show I ever did was in Canada, in Vancouver, and it was for about 2.5 weeks, and we played to about 10,000 people every night in a big arena, and it was one of the most exciting I ever did.
For me, I love connecting with the audiences. I really, really enjoy the big shows, like the 10,000 seat arenas like Scott was doing. Those are really fun. I really love the intimacy of a small theater as well. I like the theaters that are between 100 and 300 seats that are just, you really, really have a great chance to connect with the people, and the people have a great chance to connect with the performers. And I have absolutely been floored by the good feedback from people in those situations where you reach them at a time when they're in a down spot or something like that, and they go, oh man, I just haven't laughed that hard in years. And so I love being able to connect with people like that.
Kirk has already mentioned that he's excited to perform at the Backdoor Theater because it's a much smaller and much more intimate audience. Scott, is that the same thing for you? Are you excited to bring your show to a much smaller audience?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Whenever we can find a venue like the Backdoor that has a full-size stage, essentially, and then a smaller crowd, it is such a treat to be able to, you can talk to the people in the front row like they're in your front living room and they're only a few feet away, and you get to meet everyone as they come in and as they go out. So yeah, absolutely a reason we pick these kind of venues is because they are the most enjoyable to do.
Scott said it perfectly. I also think though, so I do a lot of audience interaction, and Scott does as well. The nice part about a smaller theater like that is that you can see people at the back just as well as you can see the people at the front a lot of times. And so it's just really, really nice to engage with an entire crowd instead of just as a section of a larger thing.
And of course, there are particular reasons why these two ended up choosing the venues that they did. If you want to find out what those reasons are, stay tuned until after the ad break.
Does talking with your teen ever feel like a game show with unpredictable twists and turns? Well, it doesn't have to be. We're pulling back the curtain and revealing winning tips for parents to take their relationship with their teen to the next level. Because a stronger bond not only keeps them healthy, but also adds more joy to your relationship. Ready to level up your parenting game? It's time to connect more. Head to forwardtogetherco.com for expert tips, videos, and guides. Build stronger connections starting today, because parenting should be a winning experience.
Welcome back. And now, let's continue with the interview. I'm curious, why did you pick the venues that you did for this tour? And why Colorado?
Well, it's basically all because I moved here. I moved here in April from Texas, and we were like, well, okay, where can we go around Longmont in a certain radius? Obviously, we didn't want to do too many venues close to each other, but yeah, it was really the sense that I lived in Texas for 10 years, and I just moved here to Longmont and loving it, and like, while we're here, let's do some shows. And then Kirk is, as I said, traveling a lot, so he was quite happy to come in and spend the time here. So yeah, and then we just looked at different venues around the area, and we picked out the 6 that seemed to work really well for this run, and we're all within an hour or so driving.
And is there anything in particular you hope that the audience members will be able to take away from your shows when they come and see you?
I think that we want to leave them with a sense of joy and wonder and curiosity about the world. I think that the illusions that Scott does, the amazing work that he does with mentalism, are all things that really make people think a little bit and make people wonder, and people just wonder why I'm doing what I'm doing, period.
Yeah, they normally question at the end, it's like, how did he do that to me? And to Kirk, it's, why did he do that?
Yeah, and we like to ask those kinds of questions.
No, I'm joking, of course. But yeah, no, essentially what's really, really nice is after running my own theater in Texas for so long, we realized that a lot of people just haven't seen this type of show before. They've never seen a live magician. They've never seen a live clown, physical performer, juggler. And so we're bringing in, hopefully, the best of both of those worlds to these small theaters, so they don't have to go down to the middle of Denver to watch a show. They can come and see it in their backyard, essentially, and we'll bring them that same experience.
I wanted to quickly focus on the individual aspects of both of your careers. Let's focus on Kirk first. You performed at both Cirque du Soleil and America's Got Talent in Las Vegas recently. Were those back-to-back? Were those in the same general time frame?
Yep, out in Las Vegas over the last year or so.
What was it like performing both of those shows so close together, especially with what I would consider vastly different crowds?
Well, the nice part about it is that people are people all over the world. And so the changes that you have to do for a smaller stage versus a television audience versus a large stage are the ways that you physically move, like the largeness of your movement, for me especially. And the big variations were things like on America's Got Talent, it was interacting directly with Heidi Klum. And so doing something like that, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that and rehearsals that aren't practiced by the celebrity, right? And so we've got to stand in for her. And so that kind of a thing is really improv heavy at the time. And then you've also got the moments that are very, very, very well rehearsed for the stage shows that we were doing. So there's a lot of variation in that, and it's really nice to have that kind of variation in my life.
Now let's switch over to Scott. I couldn't help but notice your career highlight on the poster for this Night of Magic and Comedy, which you can find on the backdoortheater.org. You were actually featured in the TV show Masters of Illusion on CW.
Yes. I believe it was season 4. It was great. I did 3 spots that were shown in 3 different shows, and they were 3 of my favorite bits that I was doing at the time on cruise ships. I think that was maybe 5 years ago now, and yeah, I had a great time with that, and that was my main TV appearance, but it was a lot of fun working with some people that I had admired since I was a kid. They were there that day as well. I just got to meet some really great people in the business, and I got some really, really great footage out of it as well.
So the Masters of Illusion segment was filmed during your time at Disney Cruises?
It was just, I just come off Disney. So I've been in the US for about 9 and a bit years, and I came off the ship. Well, I got my visas in 2015, and I think it was probably around about that time, 2016 maybe, or 2017, that I did Masters of Illusion. So it was Disney Cruise Line. I've been kind of on and off. I did that for about 8 years, but the longest I was on the ships was about 6 months. The shortest was maybe a week. So that was just Masters of Illusion and the Magic Castle all kind of thrown in between Disney Cruise Line.
So both the Disney Cruises and Masters of Illusion were in the same general time frame.
Yeah, no, I was definitely still doing the same acts that I was doing on Disney Cruise Line I did on Masters of Illusion.
I didn't come up with this next question before the interview started. As I interviewed Scott and Kirk, I couldn't help but wonder what they have taken away from all of the experience that they've had over the years. A career in the arts is not a guaranteed success. That's what it seems like most people seem to say to those who actually want to pursue a career in the arts. But Scott and Kirk have been going at it for a couple decades now. And so the big question that I have for both of you guys is, if you were to talk to your younger selves about where you are now, what would you want them to know?
That's a great question. I think that the thing that I would say is keep working hard at what you do and really make sure that you're enjoying every moment of it.
Yes, I would think so. Every magician when they're younger wants to be David Copperfield, Chris Angel, David Blaine. That's what you think the end of the career is going to be. And then I think you realize 10-something years onwards that's maybe not going to happen. There is only one of these people. So, but the great thing is you can still have such a wonderful career in magic without being the Vegas headliner. So I think I would tell my past self, just just like, yeah, cool. If you want to keep, your goal is to be David Copperfield, that's great. If that keeps pushing you along, but just know you're going to have some amazing times in the meantime. You're going to travel, you're going to meet people, you're going to do some amazing shows, and, you know, you may not end up as a Vegas headliner, but you're going to really enjoy life. The ironic thing is eventually when you go full circle, you end up not wanting to do the Vegas headlining thing because that's a lot of work.
It sounds like what you two love best about performing in general is connecting with whatever crowd is in front of you. So I'm curious, are there any particular career highlights that we haven't talked about yet that you would love to mention?
No, I think that one of the things that we both have had a lot of fun with is the international work that we've done on the ships. We've gotten to travel all over the world, and because of that, I feel that we both bring a bit of a eclectic sense of, we have a great ability to connect with almost anyone due to that. And
yeah, it's a lot easier to connect with people when you can say where you're from, and then you can be like, oh, I've been there, and then you can chat with them. And I think travel is probably the biggest thing that helps you connect with people. Yeah, when you can chat to someone about their hometown, or it really, especially during a show, if you can say, like, oh, where are you from? They're like, oh, I'm from Idaho. It's like, oh, cool, which part? And then you can dig into that a little bit. It helps that connection between you and the audience members. And yeah, I think travel has been one of the biggest things that's made this. But what you said actually is kind of, you hit the nail on the head. The connection with the audience is really the things we remember from this work. When you do a gig where the audience are great and you had a great time with them, you remember that forever. When they were bad or it didn't go so well, you remember that one as well. But the good ones are what keeps you going through the next one and what makes you look forward to the next one. And that's the most enjoyable part about this. 100%. Can't think of any particular one-offs where audience members have been, I mean, like, yeah, of course, audience members say the funniest things, but I wish I could remember any of them right now. But most of the time, it's just great when they're the ones that stop the show for a second because they said something so funny that the audience just die. And you can be a part of that. It's really great.
Is there anything else in general that I missed before we move into some clarifying questions about the upcoming show at the back door?
No, and I mean, I know we keep saying it, but we're just super happy to be here in Colorado, super happy to be doing these theaters. These are just, you know, when we sat down and was like, what do we want to do other than, we've both been on ships for so long, we were like, what do we want to do on land? It was like, let's do these small theaters. And the fact that we've been able to get these 6 under our belt already and meet some wonderful people, and we're totally looking forward to doing these shows. And, you know, most of our days are spent working on these shows right now, and we are taking it very seriously, but we're very much looking forward to meeting everyone. Yeah, even today we're driving down to Evergreen to go meet people and put posters up and get to know the area ready for our first show.
I want to clarify, today was of course the day that we conducted this interview on August 18th, 2024. Well, before we sign off for the week, I have some clarifying questions about the upcoming show. Is it going to be similar to the shows that you're planning on performing for the other venues across Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be the same for most of it. There isn't any major variations on the venues, so the show will be pretty similar throughout each venue.
The nice part is with a show like ours, where it's highly interactive, a lot of the show is the same, but it changes because the audience is just a different energy every show, right? Yeah. So, and you've got different interactions with people, and so all of the tricks might be the same, but the show's going to be really different in really different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the outcomes to most of the effects are going to be different due to what people pick and what people say, and that's always fun. I've had people come back and see my show twice in my theater in San Antonio and seen completely different outcomes of things that they thought they knew were going to happen.
And how long is the show going to be?
It'll be a 90-minute show. We'll have a little 10-15-minute intermission in there, and it'll be a 90-minute show.
And finally, is there anything else that you want to make sure everybody knows before they come to the show?
Oh, one of the other things I think that we really have been stressing is that it is an all-ages show. It's not like only adults or anything like that. It's very much for families. And so we want to really, really make sure that we...
Actually, I was going to jump in on that. Yeah, family-friendly, all ages, but above 4 years old.
Yeah, before 4 or 5, you're not going to really enjoy a lot of the stuff that we do just because you're not going to get some of the things, right?
Thank you so much to Scott and Kirk for coming on board and joining us for the podcast to promote this exciting one-night-only event at the Backdoor Theater. By the way, Scott mentioned earlier that he runs a theater in San Antonio, and that theater is called the Magicians Agency Theater, which hosts a bunch of other magicians, including Matt Marcy, Simone Turkington, Nick Paul, Harry Maurer, Francis Minotti and Lindsay, David Kovac, Trig Watson, Arthur Trace, Oscar Munoz, Max Zawacki, John Armstrong, and Nathan Coe Marsh. To learn more about all of these magicians, including Scott, you can head to the Magicians Agency website at magiciansagency.com. On that website, you can find a ton of things, including the Magicians Agency's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also go to magiciansagency.com/show to buy tickets now for the upcoming event at the Backdoor Theater. The Backdoor Theater will be hosting Scott and Kirk on Saturday, September 14th, 2024, starting at 7 p.m. You can learn more about the Backdoor Theater in general, which I will mention the address for in just a second, by going to the Backdoor Theater, that's spelled THEATRE.org. Speaking of the Magicians Agency Theater YouTube channel, though, you can head to that YouTube channel now to check out some clips of some of Scott Pepper's previous acts, including those that he performed for Masters of Illusion. There's a 1.5-minute clip on that YouTube channel where he performs an illusion with a woman and a locked case. That's all I'm going to say. You should definitely check out the clip. It is incredible. Scott Pepper also has his own individual Facebook page. He even has his own website where he advertises all of his work, scottpepper.com. If you want to learn more about Kirk Marsh and the physical comedy work that he's done over the years, then be sure to check out his website at kirkmarsh.com. He does have a YouTube channel, but there aren't many videos and he hasn't uploaded in a while, so I'd recommend the website first. On that website, you can also head to his personal Facebook and Instagram if you want to learn even more. So get excited for a night of magic and comedy coming to the Backdoor Theater very soon. Of course, though, before Scott and Kirk come to the Backdoor Theater to perform their night of magic and comedy, there's still the weekly movie at the Backdoor this weekend. This weekend's movie is Alien Romulus, rated R. Here's the summary that is now available on the Backdoor Theater's website at thebackdoortheater.org. Space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station. Alien Romulus will be playing this weekend on Friday, September 6th, starting at 7 p.m., on Saturday, September 7th, starting at 2 p.m. with open captions, and again on Saturday, September 7th, starting at 7 p.m. All of these events will take place at the Nederland Community Center at 750 Highway 72 in Nederland. So be sure to head over there this weekend for a great time at the movies, and next weekend for a fun night of magic and comedy. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to this week's episode of Miscellaneous Mondays of the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back on Wednesday with another retrospective episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. But in the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others with whoever you see fit, then be sure to share them by going to the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com or the mtnear.com/the-mountain-ear-podcast. And if you would like to be involved in the podcast in any way and you're a member of the Peak to Peak area, whether you want me to interview you, someone else to interview you, or you have advertising that you want to share, then be sure to email me at media@themountaineer.com and we will get that sorted for you. I'll see you on Wednesday with our retrospective edition of the Mountain Ear. Have a great rest of your day!
If you let me tell the story, wonder what I'd say. Talk about the songbird, what you sang the other day.
The song that you are currently listening to is called All We Need, and it is from the debut album of the new local group, The Lofty Pines, Light at the Door, which you can stream wherever you get your music. You can also check out the band's website at theloftypines.com or find them on Instagram and Facebook to learn more about them as a whole. And if you want to see them performing live, then be sure to check them out on Saturday, September 7th at 5 p.m. at the Very Nice Brewing Company location in Gilpin at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk.
Have all we need. Together we'll have all we need. I don't think that I'm a liar, but my mind plays tricks on me. Weight up on my shoulders, no one else can see.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.